The other day I was in the car with my friend and we were talking about God, and eventually we came up on questions we have about faith and following Jesus, because there is a lot of them. One of the biggest questions we came to was, why are we told not to sin if that's like totally not possible? After we hung in, I went home and I did my research, and it seems Jesus talks about it a lot. And one of the main stories where we see Jesus telling people not to sin is in the story of the adulterous woman. The main premise is that a woman committed adultery and people were pretty mad. But most importantly, Jesus told everyone who was there, if you've never sinned before, you're allowed to throw a stone at her. But no one threw a stone, and Jesus knew this would happen because Jesus knew we all sin. At the very end of the story, on a one-on-one convo with Jesus, how cool, Jesus tells the woman to go and sin no more. But why would he say that if he literally just proved that he already knows we sin? Additionally, in 1 John chapter 2, verse 1, it is written, "My dear children, I write this to you so that you will not sin. But if anybody does sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ." God clearly knows that we're really bad at not sinning. So why would he tell us to stop? The main thing I feel towards this whole thing is that Jesus wasn't telling us to never sin again. Whilst it would be amazing, it isn't practical. I believe Jesus was telling us to leave our frequent sin. In another translation, instead of saying, go and sin no more, he says, go and leave your life of sin. I believe this was Jesus instructing us to leave behind our lifestyle of sin, this frequent sin. But now we've established God doesn't want us to sin. This isn't really practical, so Jesus took the punishment for us. But if we aren't being punished by sin, why should we stop? In falling into a lifestyle of sin, we come to distance ourselves from God. We become to feel as though we aren't worthy of the Lord anymore, and we're filled with shame and regrets, which cloud our identity. And furthermore, when we continuously feed into intentional sin, we directly disobey God, preventing us from carrying out His will, which also may lead us to live a life which isn't exactly amazing. Also in sinning, we tend to take on a lot of spiritual and physical consequences, and God doesn't want us to go through that. He wants the best for us, and He wants us to avoid that. So when Jesus tells us to no longer sin, He's pretty much telling us to fight against sin, and not submit into it, as doing so will pull us away from God, and that is exactly what the enemy wants. Overall, God likes talking to us, and He really wants to talk to us. And in sinning, we sort of prevent that in a way. And so the workaround would be to just sin as little as possible, and I feel like that's what God is telling us to do. Furthermore, I feel like it's important to highlight the significance of Jesus covering our sin for us. Since we're pretty bad at not sinning, Jesus had to come. But the significance of that entire situation is so great. God sent Jesus to overcome what was impossible to us. We would have never done it. And so God sent a solution, all so that He'd be able to connect with us, utterly proving without a doubt how much God loves and cares about us. God wanted to have a connection with us so bad that He literally gave us a solution to something which was impossible. And I think that's awesome. Hope this video helped you in any capacity at all, and if you feel called to share it to anyone who might benefit from it, please do. Anyway, God bless. Much love, y'all. And I'll see you when I see you.